want to begin by acknowledging the Jewish community of New South Wales and the families who've been affected by this horrible crime in our city on December the 14th, the worst terrorism event in the state and the country's history. This would be a difficult day for them, an important day for them, but a difficult day for them. And I want them to know that the people of Australia and the people of our state are with them on this tough day. Can I start by saying this is sobering but important reading? The Royal Commission is an important opportunity to shine a spotlight on the questions that needed answering on December the 14th and ensuring that we do everything we possibly can to stop it from happening again. We take the recommendations incredibly seriously, and the three of us are here to say we will implement them in full. We thank the Royal Commissioner for undertaking this work. The reality is for a state government is that its highest responsibility is to protect its people, and on December the 14th last year, we didn't do that. We take responsibility for that today, and as I said, do everything we can to change and ensure we confront evil and terrorism wherever it is in New South Wales and wherever it rears its head. But while we can't do anything about yesterday, we have to do everything possible about tomorrow to bring about the kind of change to the law and the culture in our community to stop hate from spilling into violence in Australia's largest city. There's three things I want to say about this report, which are, I think, hugely important. Firstly, anti-Semitism and the rise of anti-Semitism didn't begin on December the 14th. There was a rising tide of hatred towards the Jewish community in the years before that day in Bondi on December the 14th. This was incubated in hatred, and that has to be part of the conversation about ensuring it never happens again. Secondly, while there's absolutely learnings from this Commission inquiry for processes and procedures, changes to the law, it is also the truth that emergency service workers, in particular the police and the paramedics, did an incredible job in difficult circumstances. Some of them put their lives on the line to protect complete strangers. And I don't want it lost in any of the committee's findings or recommendations, the incredible job and the heroism that they did before December the 14th, on that day and in the weeks subsequent to keep our community safe in difficult circumstances. And that's everything from the pointy end of confronting terrorists and criminals in our community, all the way to keeping community calm and cohesion when there's heightened tensions and protest activities that in some cases are designed to rip apart the seams of our town and our community. And the last thing I'd say is that this is obviously sobering reading, and it's very difficult reading for the Jewish community. But the horrible way in which these people lost their lives on that day should not define the lives that they lived. The people that we lost were some of our best citizens. Some of the people who were killed were attempting to stop these armed terrorists in their tracks and paid with their lives. And I'd hate to think that, as shocking as the crime was on December the 14th, it came to represent the lives that these wonderful people lived in our community. After all, this Royal Commission is for them and in tribute to the lives that we've lost.
What happened on the 14th of December at Bondi is a terrible tragedy. It is something that has no place in Australian society, and it's something that as a police force we are committed to ensuring that we prevent. The Royal Commission is a really important process. It's a process to ensure that lessons learnt from the 14th of December occur. It's a process to ensure that all agencies continue to improve. The New South Wales Police Force is an agency that continues to improve. We strive to make sure that everything we do leads to a safer community. We acknowledge the recommendations. We have and will continue to work with the Royal Commissioner, and we are committed to implementing any recommendations that impact on the agency.
Look, it is a very important day today. These findings that have come down today are something that we have all been waiting, and we will respond, and we are pleased to have this information so that we can learn from it. I too, though, want to mirror the sentiments of the Premier, and that is, I know that many in the Jewish community, the wounds will be opened wide again today after reading this report. It's very, very difficult, and the three of us are very close to that community and have been with them every step of the way, and we know how difficult it will be. I think it's important also to thank the Commissioner. Her work and her team is so important. It's important, though, that we remember two of our police officers who they almost lost their lives as well, keeping our community safe. And I do want to pay tribute to them. All of us have, obviously, the Commissioner sees them, and the Premier and I have met with them several times, and they are good people who put their lives on the line, and all of the other first responders as well. But my really deep sympathies go to those Jewish families who have lost family members, and also to all of the Jewish community right across Australia.
I mean, it breaks your heart to think that the same community that's subject to the worst terrorism event in the country's history, according to this inquiry, and many independent observers as well as investigators, is that they're still the target of hatred, vilification, and in its most extreme form, violence. Now, part of that can be confronted with government action, bans, interventions when it comes to protests, gun law reform. Part of it is civic society stepping up and saying, when we see racism and anti-Semitism, we're not going to cop it. We won't tolerate it. And as a community, the Jewish community have gone through enough. And this doesn't begin and end with someone going to Bondi on December the 14th. There's a radicalisation element here that does involve heightened tensions and a wave of hatred to the Jewish community in the preceding 2 years. We saw that the days after October the 7th with what was a violent mob on the steps of the Sydney Opera House. And we've been dealing with that. We've been dealing with that sentiment in our community almost on a weekly basis for years since. We're not going to give up. The government's not going to give up. But everybody needs to call out anti-Semitism when they see it. It's the minimum obligation we have to our friends and our brothers and sisters in the Jewish community who've gone through so much over the last 6 months.